Alright guys, before we get into it, I just want to give y'all a massive thank you. I mean, I was not expecting this kind of support on this channel so soon. Yet the channel continues to grow at a very fast pace, and that's because y'all are going down, y'all are dropping comments on the videos, y'all are leaving likes as y'all always do, and I just owe y'all a massive thank you for doing so. I'm going to continue to try to get us a fantasy baseball video every single day. So if you are wanting to gear up for the fantasy baseball season, the best thing you can do is go down there, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell next to the subscribe button. But anyway, what we are going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be going through and looking at pitchers that are projected to see a significant amount of strikeouts this upcoming season. And no, I am not going to be talking about the guys at the very top, like a Gerrit Cole, like a Jacob deGrom, like a Shane Bieber. Maybe we'll give them a small shout out, but we're not going to be specifically targeting those players. We are going to be looking at Fantasy Pros projections because, as always, I want to put a disclaimer in this video saying by no means am I a fantasy baseball expert. I can't make my own projections, so we are going to be using Fantasy Pros. And no, this is not an ad. I've not spoken to them at all. Just using their stuff, so gonna have to give them a quick shout out. So yeah, that's it. Let's get into it, and I guess we can start it off by just giving a shout out to the players at the very top in Gerrit Cole, Jacob deGrom. I mean, these two guys are projected to see 164 strikeouts and 256 this season, but there's not too much to talk about here. Outside the fact that if you're going to be drafting one of these players, you're pretty much just going through and going, okay, we know we are taking Gerrit Cole in the first round with our first pick. Are we taking him over a hitter? Are we going to be taking him over Jacob deGrom? And that's all you have to consider. You don't have to consider taking him versus any other pitchers. I know some people want to sneak Shane Bieber in there. I can't. But if you're talking about Cole or deGrom, I'll say that the leagues that I would not mind taking him in the first round would actually be the leagues where you are getting points for those strikeouts. So not category formats, not a traditional Roto 5x5. If you're playing in a points league format, and this is where it gets into needing to know your league settings, I think there an ace like Jacob deGrom can really just flat out win your league for you with the amount of points that he is going to score in a single start. So yeah, in those league settings, I would be comfortable taking someone that is going to load up on strikeouts in the first round. But let's not talk too much about that. Let's go to the players that are going a little bit later in the draft. And specifically when we are talking about these strikeouts, we know that obviously strikeouts are going to be valuable for roto leagues. They're going to be valuable for point leagues, both. But like I said earlier, specifically we want to be targeting these players a little bit higher in those point formats where you really want to prioritize getting your strikeouts in, because if you have a high volume of strikeouts, then you know you're going to be so ahead of your opponents. But that's it. Let's go down and let's look at the 10th pitcher in average draft position data for 2021. And this is going to be Max Scherzer, who right now is going at the middle of the third round, a price point that I've talked about this before. Michaels came on here and he has talked about why he also loves Max in this range. And yes, I understand 2020 was not the best year. 2020 wasn't a fantastic season for Max, and a lot of people want to look at that and go, okay, it's his age. He is slowing down, and that's understandable. I know how a lot of people are going 1 + 1 = 2. Yes, that makes sense. But right now, Fantasy Pros has Max as the 4th pitcher in their projected total strikeouts for the end of the year. They have him projected for 101 innings pitched, as well as 240 Ks. And if we go through, this is kind of in line with his strikeouts per inning that we have seen. Now, I know that he is by no means in the prime of his career, so we can't go out there and look at 2018, 2017, 2016, where he was putting up just top-tier elite numbers. But what we can do is we can look at 2020 and 2019. I really want to focus in on the 2019 season because that's the last year where we had the full sample. We understand how weird 2020 was altogether. But in 2019, Max was able to go out there and pitch for 172 innings, but more importantly, rack up 243 total strikeouts. So then if you go through and you go, oh, okay, that's a high strikeout per inning ratio, where he is striking out hitters at 1.41 Ks per inning. And that's significant. I mean, that's a strikeout and a half per inning pretty much. And if you go to 2020, that number drops down to 1.37. So I know some of the other underlying metrics around Max's 2020 season were not necessarily desirable, but his ability to make hitters miss, his ability to rack up those Ks is still at an elite level. So if you're playing in those point league formats, I think that Max would be a fantastic pick to make in the third round. All right, so now let's go a little bit further down the draft board. Let's go to someone who is being drafted at an average draft position of 51 as the 17th pitcher off the board. And this is going to be Tyler Glasnow. Right now, Fantasy Pros has him projected for 201 Ks and 153 innings pitched. And here it kind of sucks because we don't have that large sample that we can look at. If we go to 2019, if we go to 2020, I mean, there was like a total of 130 innings pitched between both of these seasons. So in the past 2 years, we don't even have a full season worth of innings pitched to look at. But still, we know that we have that Fantasy Pros projection, and we can go through and go, okay, in 2020, he pitched 57 innings. He had 91 Ks, and this is for a ridiculous 1.6 strikeouts per inning. So over a strikeout and a half per inning for Tyler in 2020. And I'll say no, we are not projecting this at all. You cannot expect someone to ever go out there and have a full sample of that high efficiency. It just doesn't make sense. It would make him one of the best pitchers of all time. So he's going to regress. But what we need to look at is we need to look at, okay, in 2019, where was that number? Was it a little bit more reasonable? And it was where he was down there at 1.27 strikeouts per inning pitched. So what I'd be expecting this year is right in line with what Fantasy Pros has, and the 1.31 range, maybe a little bit higher. I know some people just want to look at that 2020 season and just see how magical it was and go off of that. We can't, that's just not how math works. I've talked about this so much before, and that 2020 season is going to be very hard to draw any concrete predictions from. But still, I mean, the Fantasy Pros ranking has him a lot higher than his current average draft position data. So I think if you're playing in those point league formats where you're incentivized to go out there and load up on strikeouts, I mean, he's someone that you could be going after. Okay, so now this is what I need help with. I need someone to help me figure out why Robbie Ray is so far down on draft boards, where he is going at the very, very, very end of extremely deep drafts. I mean, he's going in the pick like 300s. And right now, I mean, Fantasy Pros has him projected for 198 strikeouts, 154 innings pitched. And this is good for 1.28 strikeouts per inning. And if we go to 2019 and 2020, this is even a conservative projection based on what he was able to provide with his strikeouts per inning pitched. And I know in 2020, a lot of other numbers like his ERA and such were horrendous. But still, you look at his 68 strikeouts in 51 innings, and you go, okay, that's good for a 1.33 strikeouts per inning ratio. But at the same time, we know it's the small sample. So if we take a step back, and if we look at 2019, the larger sample, he has 174 innings pitched and 235 strikeouts, which is good for a 1.35 strikeout per inning ratio. So that number's high. I mean, both of those numbers are higher than the Fantasy Pros projection with his strikeouts per inning pitched. But are people not expecting him to hit that 154 innings? Really, what is going on right now? We actually have his team having him on their official website as the third pitcher in the rotation. So I don't understand why this ADP number is so far down the drafts for him. Please let me know what I'm missing in the comment section below, because like I said, I'm not a fantasy baseball expert. I need your help here. I need your opinion. It's worth just as much as mine, if not significantly more. So please let me know in the comments what I am missing with Robbie Ray. But that's it. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton, and I'll see y'all with the video tomorrow.